In a world that often feels cold and disconnected, sometimes a single act of kindness can change everything. This incredible true story will remind you that angels walk among us every day, often appearing when we least expect them but need them most. Prepare to have your faith in humanity completely restored. Keep reading to discover how one stranger's compassion created a miracle. Sarah Mitchell never imagined that losing her job would be the least of her worries. At 34, she had been working as a graphic designer for a marketing firm in downtown Chicago for nearly 8 years. When the company downsized and let her go with just 2 weeks severance pay, she thought she could handle it. She had some savings, a good resume, and confidence that she would find something new within a month or two. But life had different plans. Her savings dwindled faster than expected as she discovered that the job market was more competitive than she remembered. Weeks turned into months, and her unemployment benefits barely covered her basic expenses. Sarah found herself choosing between paying rent and buying groceries, between keeping the lights on and filling her prescription medications. The breaking point came on a particularly cold February evening. Sarah hadn't eaten a proper meal in 3 days, surviving on crackers and water she collected from public fountains. Her phone had been disconnected for non-payment, and she had received an eviction notice that morning. Sitting on a park bench with her last $5, she watched families walk by with shopping bags full of food, wondering how her life had spiraled so completely out of control. That's when she noticed him, an elderly man in a worn but clean coat, walking slowly through the park. He was probably in his 70s, with kind eyes and gentle movements. Something about his presence felt different, peaceful in a way that Sarah couldn't quite explain. As he approached her bench, she expected him to keep walking like everyone else had been doing for weeks. Instead, he stopped and asked a simple question, "Are you okay, dear?" Those 4 words broke something inside Sarah. Maybe it was the genuine concern in his voice, or perhaps it was simply that someone had finally seen her as a human being rather than an invisible problem to ignore. Tears began flowing as she found herself telling this stranger about her situation, the job loss, the mounting bills, the hunger, the fear of sleeping on the streets. The man, who introduced himself as Frank, listened without judgment. He didn't offer empty platitudes or quick fixes. Instead, he asked if she would join him for dinner at a nearby diner. Sarah hesitated, embarrassed by her appearance and worried about accepting charity, but something in Frank's manner made her trust him. After dinner, Frank did something extraordinary. He pulled out an envelope from his coat pocket and handed it to Sarah. Inside was $1,500 in cash, money he explained came from his monthly Social Security check and a small pension. "I don't need much," he said simply. "My house is paid off, I have everything I need, and my wife always told me that money sitting in a bank account doesn't help anyone." Sarah tried to refuse, overwhelmed by the generosity of this virtual stranger. But Frank insisted, explaining that helping others had become his way of honoring his late wife's memory. He also gave her his phone number and the address of a community center where she could get additional resources for job searching and temporary housing assistance. But Frank's kindness didn't end there. Over the following weeks, he checked on Sarah regularly. He helped her set up a temporary phone line using his address, drove her to job interviews when she couldn't afford transportation, and even connected her with a friend who needed freelance graphic design work. More importantly, he reminded her that her worth wasn't determined by her employment status or bank account balance. The freelance work led to a part-time position, which eventually became a full-time offer at a non-profit organization that valued Sarah's skills and appreciated her understanding of struggle. Within 6 months, she was back on her feet financially, but more importantly, she had gained something invaluable, a renewed faith in the goodness of people. Sarah's relationship with Frank evolved into something like a grandfather-granddaughter bond. She began volunteering alongside him at the food bank, discovering that giving back created a sense of purpose she had never experienced in her previous career. Together, they helped dozens of other people facing similar challenges, creating a ripple effect of kindness that spread throughout their community. Frank taught Sarah that everyone is just a few circumstances away from needing help, and everyone is also capable of providing help in some way. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's simply acknowledging someone's humanity with genuine attention and care. 2 years later, Sarah established a small fund to help other unemployed professionals bridge the gap between jobs. She named it Frank's Fund, in honor of the man who saved her life not just with money, but with dignity, compassion, and hope. Frank, now 77, continues to volunteer and mentor people, though he always insists that helping others helps him just as much. Their story reminds us that heroes don't always wear capes or make headlines. Sometimes they're quiet retirees who choose to see suffering and respond with love. Sometimes they're people who transform their own pain into purpose, using their experiences to lift others up. This story proves that kindness is contagious and one person really can make a difference. Have you ever experienced unexpected kindness from a stranger? Or maybe you've been Frank in someone else's story. Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone needs to hear today. Click the heart if this reminds you that there's still so much good in the world, and let's spread more light together.